Hello and welcome to day 3 of Uniko's January release product introductions. I hope you're enjoying all the newness so far this week. Today we are introducing a new stencil and a new stamp set to the Flower Power series. If you've been around at Uniko for a while, you'll know of our Flower Power clear stamp sets. That's one of the smaller sizes of stamp sets we've got, the smallest I should say. These rate £6.50. And the Flower Power series features a stem of a different design and a flower of a different design, and then a different theme of sentiments. I will just grab a couple of the other ones. So far in the series we have up from 1 to 10, and today I am introducing number 11. So you'll see here Flower Power 1 is this, I always refer to it like a poinsettia style, sort of a modern poinsettia, and the sentiments in the set are all to do with thinking of you and sympathy. And then we have this one, number 2, which is it was inspired by cherry blossom, and it has celebration and birthday sentiments. And as you can see, that you can mix and match the leaves and the different flowers from each of the sets. This is Uniko's logo, which is based on a chrysanthemum with wedding and congratulation sentiments. We have April and spring, Easter on this one, thank you, and all different thank you types of sentiments on number 5. Number 6 is a rose, a modern style rose with sort of get well wishes and feel better soon. Number 7 had anniversary and all your sort of diamond, ruby, pearl, so a bit of a wedding theme, anniversary theme. And then number 8 was a kindness theme. Number 9 was this fun hexagon and bee buzzing by to say it was designed to coordinate with another stamp set called Be Happy. And then number 10, which came out last year, had a bit of a mid-century modern feel to it, and it was all about blooming and growing. And this one, number 11, that will be available on Sunday, is spring themed again. It has a bit of a nod towards Art Deco, sort of Art Nouveau. It has, these leaves have a very sort of Rene Mackintosh feel to them, as does the overlapping of the petals of this tulip. And my sentiment theme for this one was friendship. So I'll show you a couple of the cards that I made using the Flower Power set to start off with. These are on the blog today. So on this first one, I decided I would pair it with the background block Arts Decoratives. Obviously this is Art Deco inspired, and Rene Mackintosh was more sort of Art Nouveau. Art Nouveau sort of came first, and then Art Deco sort of followed on. So there are some similarities, but there are quite a lot of differences as well between the two design periods and design styles. But this pairs lovely in my opinion, and although the block's quite big, I didn't want it to overpower, so I kept it just black and white and then just added the colour to the flower. And this is one of the sentiment options that you can build from the set. This second card, it's a style that I've done many a time using the Flower Power series for introductions, keeping it quite simple with a nice coloured bright background for these. It's quite bright today here for January. but I fancied a nice bright background, and then I used the inking techniques where you sort of blend the two colours on the block, on the solid flower, so you get the solid and the outline flower. You can layer them up. I kept the leaves just stamped in green and then used another of the sentiments. And I like this style of card because it is still clean and simple, but I get to use some ribbon with these little ribbon tabs here. And I talked about on the blog today how ribbons and bows are supposedly going to be a trend this year, so it'll be interesting to see if ribbon makes a comeback in paper crafts. And then the second product is like a bonus product really. I wasn't originally going to release it in January, but then I couldn't wait, so it got slotted in for today. It's a new addition to our Mid-Century Modern collection. It's called Mid-Century Modern Circles and Stars. You can see why it has these stars and these circles, but it creates a really fun design when you do it all over. Here I've just used a section of it, blending Oceanside, Peacock and Midnight together, and as it's part of the Mid-Century collection, it does pair lovely with Mid-Century Modern frames. We've got Mid-Century Modern florals, Mid-Century Modern birthday, and you could probably even get it festive and pair it with the Christmas products from that collection. But I'm sure there'll be lots of inspiration over the coming days using this stencil. So what I thought I would do is show you how they can pair, this stencil can pair with the Flower Power series as well. The Flower Power series is very sort of similar in that you can build your flowers as you can with the Mid-Century Modern florals. So I went ahead and cut some card to my usual size, 10.5 by 14, and then this is just printer paper, and I used a circle die. This is a Sizzix one. It's just a standard circle, and I've just cut it out to create a mask, because I fancied, instead of doing an all over pattern, is just do a small section. I'm just using temporary adhesive here on this mask, which I'm then going to stick down on my cardstock here. Now, using standard shaped dies like this, you might have stars, squares, circles, ovals. You can just change the shape of your stencils and add a little bit sort of more variety to the design, and get more use out of your products really. I do like this sort of masking technique. You can buy stencils that have the shapes cut out of them. I used one the other week in a video, I believe, which was a square one, but you can easily make your own if you've got shaped dies. I have quite a few different ones in my collection, and then it's just a case of selecting what part of the stencil. I'm not going to worry too much, but what I might do first actually is just do a light shaded background of a colour, just a light pink. I think I'm going to go for some, this is the colour combo that I've come for today. So honeysuckle, marmalade and buttercup, and they pair and they blend really nicely. So I'm just going to go in and use a light shade of pink just to highlight the circle a little bit more. I'm going to go in with Ballet Slipper. So I'm just going to get my brushes from my little pot. So here I've got the 3 colours, and then I'm just looking for one that hasn't been used too much for the light pink. This one should work okay. I always test it off on the side just to make sure there's not too much ink or other colour on the brush. And I'm just going to do it lightly. I've said before, if you want a light shade, you can either hold your brush lower down, use the ink that's already on the brush. You don't actually have to apply a lot of ink for it to be seen, especially if you're doing it on a white card background. And I want it to be quite subtle, so you can just lift it up the edges slightly and you can see that the colour is already shown. I just want my circle just to be defined a little bit more. And then all I'm going to do is just place it over again. And I have some tape, some Scotch tape, just to hold the stencil in place. 3 colours might be a little bit much, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. It might be that I just do it orange and pink and orange, but we'll see. As you can see, I didn't pre-prepare or test my idea. I'm just going with the flow. I'm just going to hold this stencil down. So it's still the school holidays here. The boys are still very excited. They've just brought some friends back to play. That's why you can hear the noise. So I'm just going in with the honeysuckle colour here. It's one of my favourite pinks. It's a really nice raspberry pink. Definitely brings cheer to winter days for me. Though, as I say, the sun has been shining today, which is nice. So I've done a bit of pink, and now I'm going to go in with a bit of orange, and then I just go backwards and forwards until I'm happy with a blend that I'm happy with, really. I just keep repeating this process until I've achieved a look that I am going for. So I'm going over the pink just a little bit, just a touch with this orange. I do think these 3 colours do look nice together. I often have my favourite colours when it comes to ink blending. These 3 are just one. So I'm just going to go lightly down under here a little bit where it'll overlap with the yellow. Probably don't need to tell you how to ink blend, but you could be a newbie watching. So now I'm going in with the yellow, and again, I'm not worried if it goes over onto the orange a little bit. It just makes it sort of more of a seamless look to it. Just get this little circle down here. So I love trying to get more out of my supplies, thinking you don't have to use the design as is, the full part. You can just use sections. And I think what I like about this design is this sort of like squashed almost rectangle that putting the stars and the circles together it creates, but then it has sort of like a leafy sort of like floral effect in some places as well. So you can highlight the background a little bit more by adding a background colour, and I'm sure this would look fabulous embossed as well. I'm just rubbing off the temporary adhesive, and as you can see, that light background of the ballet slipper pink has just defined the circle a little bit more, made it a little bit more visible. So now I thought what I would do is stamp the flower from Flower Power 11. I'm going to use the outline one this time, and I'm going to use my usual black ink outline because I do want it to stand out a little bit. So I'm just going to secure this down on my workspace. I found sometimes if I don't secure it, I slip a little bit. I might change my mind, I'll see. It's funny, isn't it, when creating, different things pop into your head, and I should just stick to my plan, shouldn't I, that I originally came up with in my head, instead of like diverting it off. But I love that about creativity, that you can be sat making something because you've had an idea, and then other ideas spring to mind as you're busy doing the first idea. So I'm using my blocks here. I could use my stamping platform, but sometimes when I'm just using these little stamps, I just use my block. The idea that popped into my head is because I went ahead the other day and stamped these other colours of tulips from the Solid design, and they were just in my eyeline, and I thought it would possibly look lovely against the background, but I thought no, I'll stick to my original plan of using the outline version. Now I'm using VersaFine Nocturne ink, VersaFine Clair Nocturne ink. It's one of my go-tos for outline stamps, for sentiment stamps. I used to always go for the VersaFine Clair, VersaFine Oinks Blank, sorry, Oinks Black, this one. So I used to always go for this one, but it does dry a lot slower. You can speed it up with a heat tool, but then they brought out this one, and it's more, so it is a pigment ink classed as. But I tend, it does dry a little bit slower than some, but it's quicker than others, so just be careful. I've lost my train of thought because the cat is scratching at the door to get in jelly. So I'm just going to pop that to one side to dry while I stamp my sentiment, because I'm going to fussy cut the flower out. So there's lots of sentiment choices, and I'm going to use Forever Friends from the set. So I'll just find where I've put my ones. So Forever and Friends. Noisy kids, noisy cats. Let me just let him in. And he's not going to come in. After all that noise he's made, he's just going to sit there and scratch the door to be a pain. Now, where did I put that? Who knows? There it is, right in front of my face. I've been distracted. So I'm just going to secure this down while I stamp the sentiment. And again, I'm just going to use my block. So maybe these are a little bit showing my age, maybe, with the sentiment choices. Forever Friends. But I think sometimes going back with the old simple sentiments is the way to go. You don't have to have anything fancy. I do like sending my friends cards, So it has moved. I clearly didn't put enough temporary adhesive on. Again, if you wanted to be a little bit more accurate maybe with your sentiment stamping, you could do it in your platform, but I find it just as quick and easy to use a block. And I've just lined it up the bottom there. Now I'm just gonna put that away so I don't get ink everywhere. Now my flower should be dry, and I'm going to fussy cut round. So these are Stampin' Up snips. They're a brand of scissor that I have used for many years now, since I started buying stuff from Stampin' Up, sort of late 2008, I believe, 2009 maybe it was. But I just love the sharpness of these scissors, and I'm just going to leave a slight white border. So I'm trying to turn the cardstock as I cut down with the scissors rather than turning the scissors. Obviously you have to turn a little bit, but I guess it just comes with practice. You need decent light as well, I find. I do sit right in front of the window in the office. Winter light, the sun has headed round to the front of the house and I'm at the back of the house, so but it is still light enough. And it's just about taking your time. I'm never 100% perfect at keeping the same gap of whiteness all the way around, but some days it's better than others. You can go back in and trim a bit more off if needed, but like I've said before in many of my cards, it's not about being perfect, it's about adding that hand-finished, handmade look. If we wanted the perfect look and to send the perfect finished card, we'd buy one from the shop that was pre-printed. You know, we still want that handmade feel. Well, I feel we do. It's nice to have all these things, and we have the tools now to add sort of like the printed finish, you know, with the foiling machines and the better press with the embossed look and things, but I think it's still nice to have that original handmade, handcrafted feel to a card. And there's usually a way, if you do make a little bit of a mistake or something that you're not happy with, there's always a way to make it look better or just improve the next time you have a go at it, really. So there, I've finished that. I tell you, everyone's just going to annoy me today. So I'm going to add the flower around here. I'm unsure yet if I'm going to add colour to it. I might leave it black and white. Now I'm just going to trim my sentiment, and I'm going to trim along. And before I decide where I'm going to cut it off, I'm going to hold it to the card. So I do apologise for the distractions, the noise. Welcome to my life. I've been waiting to come into the office today, and I come in and then all the chaos happens, but there you go. So what I'm going to do is, I was just going to decide where, see, I opened the door for him and he didn't want to come in, so I was deciding where I'm going to trim. So I'm going to trim about here. I'll just grab my pencil just to make a little mark. He won't be happy because I'm sat on his chair, so that's why he's doing it. And he probably wants to go out and everyone else is ignoring him wanting to go out. So I made a little mark and then I pop it into my paper trimmer and I just trim down. And then I'm going to adhere this using foam adhesive. And I have these little foam squares. I'm just going to pop a few on the back here, like so. I don't add a huge amount. You do want, I don't mind there being a little bit of give in these. And I'll just bring this back in. There's lots of fluff on my desk. Probably the cat has been up. It's stuck to my finger. And then I am going to just pop it towards the bottom here, like so. You can see a little pencil mark. Get rid of that bit there. And then we'll bring in the flower. I'm still undecided, so I'm going to pop it slightly behind, so typical where I've put a bit of foam tape. So I'm just going to trim part of the stem off. I think I will add some colour to it, but I will do it once I have it on my card. I've just noticed a couple of areas on the flower where my ink has probably smudged a little bit when I cut it out. I probably didn't wait quite long enough in between drying and cutting it out. So adding a bit of colour might just hide that a little bit. I'm just going to tuck the flower in here. And then I'm just going to grab a couple of marker pens. We'll go for some pinks today. I've got a light pink and a dark pink. I'm just going to test the colours because I can't remember. That's a bit fuzzy, that end. I think we'll stick with this one. And I'm just going to add a little bit of colour. Now these are alcohol markers that you can blend with. These are just Stampin' Up ones that are sort of on the cheaper end. You get 2 shades in a pack. I think they're about £8.50 for 2, which isn't too bad compared to Copic markers, for example. I will add more to my Copic markers, I think, this year. I didn't buy many last year, I don't think. So my collection is quite small. And without looking at my chart, the colours never seem to, in my opinion, match what I imagine them to be when I choose them. By looking at the pen tip, they always come out a little bit different. So I decided I'm going to go in with the 3 colours that I've used in my stencil background to colour my flower. So I'm going to grab an orange and I've got a green just here. luckily most things in my little craft room are quite handy to reach for. I try to keep my most used supplies near me. It's difficult, isn't it, when the more you add to your collection as to what's to hand. But most things are in drawers or on shelves near me to reach for. Luckily I had a few of these on my desk from yesterday, so I'm just going to go in just to add a little bit of colour to these leaves. I'm not doing perfect colouring. I am not a colourist. I did do the class for Copics, like certification many years ago, but I just don't sit and practice enough, to be honest. I don't always have the patience, so my colouring is usually really simple. So I've gone in with the darker shade, and then I'm just going to go in with the lighter shade on this edge, just to add a little bit of contrast. And then I think I might add a little bit of bling. I've got back into rhinestones again. My friend has stopped crafting, so she's emptied out her craft stash, and she had lots of lovely rhinestones, and they just caught my eye. I do love sparkle, so I'm going to add a little bit of sparkle to this card. Just looking for the little tool, my little pokey tool that I use to pick them up. So because I've got this gap here, what I tend to do is I put a rhinestone on that gap, then I tend to pop another one just sort of tucked underneath, and then I choose another smaller one, and I'm gonna go, so I'm looking at a sort of triangle, and I'm gonna go here just on the edge of that curve, and that is me, that is finished. So that's how you can combine both of the products today. And even though one's technically from a mid-century modern and one's Art Deco ish, they work lovely together. And I'll just bring in the other cards that I made that are on the blog today. So both these products, like the others I've introduced so far this week, will be available on Sunday the 5th of January at 9 AM Greenwich Mean Time, along with all the other ones, and we'll have our traditional release day blog hop and giveaway over on the blogs, so I hope you join us over there. And I will be back again tomorrow on YouTube with another 2 product introductions. I hope you're enjoying these videos so far. Thank you for joining me today. Sorry for the interruptions. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you again tomorrow. Bye for now.